This is a real treat for Glasgow audiences. I've been talking a lot about the connections between different festivals and the fact that the Glasgow Pipe and Live Festival is talked to the same breath as the L'Oreal Festival and Ortegaira Festival. But the connections that are made between different musicians from these festivals is what makes the festival so worthwhile. It's what helps the tradition to develop and what helps the tradition to carry on and continue. And no more so with the next group that we're going to hear from. I think the first time I came across a group from the Armagh Pipers Club was in 2004, when the National Youth Pipe Band went across to Armagh to play at the William Kennedy Festival, which is a fantastic celebration of William Kennedy's life and music that's held in Armagh in November every year. And since then there have been regular groups of Scottish musicians heading across to Armagh to play there, and groups from the Armagh Pipers Club heading across to Glasgow to play at the Pipe and Live Festival. And that cross-pollination of music is absolutely wonderful. I've had to change my script this year though, because I normally talk about the fact that the Armagh Pipers Club does a wonderful job at nurturing young talent. We've been nurturing some of this young talent for a long number of years, I think, apart from this guy here who's still allowed, we're still allowed to call him part of the young talent. He's so young, he was still learning some of the tunes they're playing about 5 minutes ago. And then, to be fair, I asked him about the tunes that he was just learning. He said, don't worry, we're playing some tunes in the set today that we haven't even written yet. So I think you can look forward to a wonderful 45 minutes of the most incredible music. Please put your hands together for the Armagh Pipers Club. Thank you.
Fergus, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. As you can see, we are the Armagh Pipers Club. Not necessarily all pipers, but we're not making a takeover bid. We brought a couple along for the fun of it. Yes, it does say in the programme, as Fergus mentioned there, young talented musicians. You know, it is a while since the programme was written, obviously, but we'll see. Nothing counts for a bit of experience. Actually, we're on the go, as we mentioned, for years. Just a couple of years ago, we celebrated the club 50 years since the club was founded. And during that year we had a big gala concert. So the first piece we're going to play tonight was a piece which was put together for that concert, which is a sort of a medley of tunes from a slip jig and hornpipe, other jigs, and finished up with reeds. So we're going to introduce for that. Thank you very much.
original harp, which is in the Guinness storerooms in Dublin, and this is a copy, or as near a copy as we've ever had of that harp, which was made originally in 1702. This one was made in 2010 for a programme, and I'll let Jeglin introduce the tune that we're going to play on it.
So the tune that Ivan's going to play is called Shoach na Hairne. The Hawk of Ballyshannon is called, as the Erin River flows through the mountain of Enniskillen, through the Lough Erne and out into the sea at Ballyshannon. So this piece of music was composed by very famous harper Ruaidh O'Cahan, blind Ruaidh O'Cahan. And the piece of music was composed supposedly for the marriage of one of the O'Donnells in who were the lords of Tyrconnell. And it's an example of a very old style of music where the poet would compose the poem, the praise poem. He was the filler or the bard. And in the Rakira, there's a poem and song to go with this piece. We're not doing it today. The Rakira would recite the poem to the Lord in the hall, like we have here today, and then the Clarshore, the harper would play the piece of music, so it was a kind of an ensemble piece. So this is Shoach na Hairne.
common poetic history, and a common musical history, certainly in terms of the pipes. The people would have been the main pipes played right across both nations. At that time then, I suppose, when things started changed historically in both countries took a move with their pipes. So the pipes moved from an outdoor instrument more to an indoor instrument. In Scotland they give you the smaller pipes, the reed pipes, the border pipes, the reed pipes. And in Ireland it gives us these pipes, which are all called in Scotland cold wine pipes, or they're blown with cold wind rather than breath from your lungs. And these are the Irish version, which are the uilleann pipes. I'm sure a lot of you do know this already, but for those that haven't come across them, these are the Irish pipes, the uilleann pipes. Uilleann means your elbow, which is the pump of the elbow. And given that we're in a piping festival, we were instructed by our director to make sure and play some piping tunes for you. So, from the piping tradition in Ireland, Northern Scotland, we had some big names in piping over the years. One of the biggest influences in piping, which helped us survive over the period of history in Ireland, which was very tumultuous, as we all know. The travelling people were great people to hold the piping tradition. They held the tunes together. They held even the making of the pipes. A lot of them was invested in the travellers, and we've chosen two tunes that were made famous by one of the greatest of the travelling piping families, which are the Dorans. And these two tunes are synonymous with the piper Johnny Doran, who died somewhere back in the late 1930s. He died very tragically. In fact, a high wind came up that night and it blew a wall on top of his caravan, and it paralysed him, and then he died afterwards. So these are two tunes that come from the last recordings of Johnny Doran. He sat up in his hospital bed actually and recorded one of these tunes, certainly. The second one is known from him. So the first one is called Rakish Paddy, the second one is called The Bunch of Keys, and the third one, I think we've added on to it, is a common tune both in the pipes and in sessions. It's called Rip the Calico.
a sad song, because what happens is this young girl, she gets married, and I think she was happy enough at the time, but then afterwards maybe she thought, maybe I might have made a wee mistake. So she's composed this song that talks about the great life she used to have. When she was in the summertime, she would be looking after her father's lovely white calves up in the mountains, and now she's stuck down in the lowlands, and she has to look after these white geese, which is not the same as her lovely white calves that she had from her father. So this is her song of terrible inner turmoil. It's called Na Gau Na Gala. Agus bhí Seamus Beaton and sin bhí sé rálum níos luach an sin go bhfuil fearm seo as an Ellen Scíhanna agus Chumlach man tóran seo dá mar dúirt Seamus dom gur bhhail leis uair an Gaelic. Siad mochad gauna na gauna gala, in siad the fedus harol and shade in one year. He siad an honest and alled oana, is her varjo and try a kuna bar and lamwada. Is fjoch agus fuur man gevru, wint na shesh gesuri shahumkur, anye na bamwela small atamahansu, anye na amanye ferirach na gauna, shir moches gauna na gauna gala, here shir the fairest harol and shid in one year, it shir the nun is an little one, is havargo and tayaguna bada hawada. Dach mission in the cano magana, guri mishishtahi the barti yalana, nacho isha chamrogish noni nigala, Jokishit a walla nangana draha, shit mohits gauna yalla, ishit the fairest harol and shit in one year, shit the non it's a non-led one, it's a lardo and try to the bargain warga. Is flag is fuur man gevru, at wins na shesh kisri shahankur, anye na bamwelas moata mohansu, anye na manye ferirach na gauna, shir mochits gauna na gauna gala. Share the fairest howl and shade in one year. It's in the nun, it's a non-led one. It's a lardo and try a good bar and lamwada. Chucky and Chuck, Ishkrati and Martin. Chucky and Schnachte getron na harde. Jockin Cheger and Yalla has found her Nagana, is a hushless Nabi Gulagatanta. Share Mohas Nagana Yalla, he shared the fairest harol and shade in one year. He shared the man is an little one, is Havardo and try a good bar lambada.
lovely tune called Appropriate Enough, the song with the chanter. From that we go into a jig called the Haggard Shorn, and then we're going to finish with two reels commonly played in Ireland, good session tunes. First one's called Within a Mile of Dublin, and the last one's called the Abbey Reel. Thank you very much.
And don't forget the CDs on the wee table.
Yes, exactly.